WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
Well, good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name's John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems on this Sunday, which is also the first day of winter, the shortest day of the year, and perhaps a chance of clowns. I'm not sure, but, you never know.
Small chance.
Small
you don't want to rule it out.
Yeah. It could happen. It's live radio. That's what happens. So, but anyway, when I end the program, every program for the past couple of years, I think, I always end it with, wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over, and I also say, because it saves lives. I mean, I remember talking to my boss at work, and we were doing a slow down, move over thing, and he said, well, slow down, move over, it's a law. I'm like, there's a lot of laws that people ignore, but how about appeal to people like it can save someone's life? And that's why I say it. Slow down, if you see somebody by the side of the road and doesn't, orange lights, blue lights, red lights, somebody changing a flat tire, whatever the case is, slow down and move over. It could save someone's life. And with us on the phone is Cindy Iodice. She comes from a towing background, but she started a program called Flagman. And Cindy, good morning and welcome to the Car Doctor program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Well, almost every week there's an emergency responder who's struck and killed working on, today's roadways, and they're the people out there trying to do good. And unfortunately, what is it? It's almost every 5 or 6 days someone gets killed by the side of the road. And this happened to a family member of yours, right?
Yeah, my brother Corey Iodice, who has been a lifelong tow operator, was working on Route 15 in Trumbull, Connecticut, when he was struck and killed by a guy under the influence driving 90 miles an hour who did not heed for his emergency lights. In fact, the driver was in such a hurry during early COVID, right? This is April of 2020, that he went off onto the shoulder to try to pass the traffic. And once he popped out from where he should have been driving, it was too late, and he lost control, totaled 3 cars, and the flatbed, and my brother was killed instantly.
And it's sort of amazing. I was at a AAA event back in September, I guess, and we were talking about roadside safety, and they had some videos of people working by the roadway and either tow trucks getting hit or cars getting hit, and when the driver of the tow truck didn't get hurt, the first thing they did was ran over to the vehicle that ran into them to try to help them. And those are the people, unfortunately, that are getting injured and killed, is the same person that just ran over your tow truck, drove over, up a tilted flatbed and went into the air like a, like a movie stunt. And, and the folks by the roadway run over to try to check and see if they're okay, running towards them and not away. And it just gives you that idea of what, these people by the side of the road, what their real feelings are. Their real feelings are to be out there to help people. And the idea that, they're getting injured and in some cases killed doing the job that they can make a living at and enjoy. So tell us about Flagman. How did that start? What is that all about?
Yeah, so once Corey was struck and killed, I realized that every state has a slow down, move over, and the language and the penalties vary state to state. In Connecticut, the penalty is up to a $10,000 fine. There's no jail time associated with killing a first responder or even a highway worker in the state of Connecticut. And I my family and I, so my family's been in towing. My dad started Mickey's in Fairfield with his father back in the 50s, and he raised all 7 of us kids in the towing business. So even though I didn't want to be a tow truck driver and moved to Hawaii when I was 18, towing is, once it's in your blood, it's in your blood when you're from a tow family. So I realized that as a media maker and a filmmaker, that I could bring my team together and come up with an idea. We were like, do you think like we need a different slogan? Do we need a character? We ultimately decided on the flagman sign that you often see at a construction site, that we would animate that guy, and he would be the voice for drivers, sort of the trusted voice for the slow down, move over movement. So we did a 30-second PSA out in Honolulu about within 6 months of my brother dying. And then in 2023, in April, we launched in Connecticut, in Fairfield, we launched the Flagman K-12 Education Outreach Program. And the reason why I picked Fairfield is that's where I'm from, but also my dad and my brothers, my family had decades and decades of relationships with the first responders. So it seemed reasonable to ask them if they would come to these schools and stand in front and teach the kids not only who works on the side of the road, how dangerous it is, what they're wearing, what they're driving, and how we can do better. And so for the little kids, we're teaching them that they can be an active passenger and they can tell their parents when they see something ahead on the road. And, the idea is that we're going to change the driving culture in the long game. And by the time these kids are driving, they already are well aware of it, whether it's in their driver's ed manual or not. So we're targeting full communities, introducing the kids to the first responders and vice versa.
And that's really where it needs to start. I mean, it's, when, somebody who's, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, it may not work. And I have to admit, since we have seen, like you said, nationwide passage of some form of slow down, move over law, I do notice it more often. I see, a police car by the side of the road. I see people move over and get out of the way. But still, the idea of kind of ingraining it into the kids, well, their big driving experience is probably their first bicycle, but kind of ingraining it into them when they're little kids. So by the time they get their driver's license, they already know, well, if I see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, I need to either slow down or move over.
Yeah, and little kids really want to be the voice in the car. We're already experiencing that. People are reporting back to us that their kid is telling them when they see something on the side of the road, and that's really the goal: make them active passengers that grow into mature, responsible drivers.
And how does you said you're working with kind of K through 12. Have you created curriculum? Do you have videos to watch? How does the educational aspect of this work?
Yeah, so my team, pretty much everybody in my team is a media maker or a filmmaker. So we film everything, and we interview the kids after, we interview the teachers after, we interview the first responders, and we're growing a movement, a national movement for education. So basically, we've been in Fairfield all week. We've got 2 more schools, Monday and Tuesday. We will have reached 5,000 kids in 8 days of work. When we were here in Connecticut before, we did 8,500 kids on our pilot launch. The school assembly, police, fire, AMR or EMS, tow, and DOT come in uniform, and we do 3 roadside scenarios where the kids, we have 20 kid volunteers, and they get to drive our little cars down the road. They get to volunteer to be a first responder, and the kids who don't get selected to volunteer are active passengers in the audience, letting their friends know, hey, you need to slow down and move over. There's something on the road. So we do a very immersive assembly where the kids are fully participating in the school assembly. And so we do a 2-car crash, and we show how the police and the fire, then the AMR comes, and then we bring the tow truck out, and we just say, look, there's a lot of people on the side of this road here. This is a good example of why we need to slow down and move over. After the kids run through that scenario, we let DOT set up a roadside scenario with their safety cones. We run the kids, the traffic down the road. We've got a school bus, an ice cream truck, some cardboard cars. Once that scenario is over, sometimes you'll only see a tow truck operator on the side of the road, which is what happened with Corey. He didn't have Connecticut State Police up there. He was alone. So not only was he first responder, he was an only responder. So we just run through these 3 scenarios, and, we do these assemblies in less than 30 minutes, and the kids are high-fiving the first responders on the way out the door.
Well, and I think, especially the younger kids, the idea of seeing, the people in uniform and getting used to that, working with the safety community, and where I'm from in Massachusetts, we had something called the Mass Safety Officers League, and having kids getting familiar with cops and getting comfortable with them and, becoming friendly with them really helped, especially when they had a story to tell and, work with them. Do you ever see a point where, it's great where you guys could come out and talk to thousands of kids. Do you ever see a point where somebody will be able to just kind of download your whole program and do it just in their classroom?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been around for 2.5 years, and we've already reached 30,000 kids between Hawaii and Connecticut, which is phenomenal, quite honestly. So I got some support from Honda every year for 3 years, and this year I asked them for funding to help me build a train the trainer platform. So if you're a police officer and you want to participate in a Flagman School Assembly, you can jump on this platform, this app, and you can kind of run through what the expectations are, how we behave at schools, all the kind of the correct ethics and what's expected of you. They can see a video, several videos of what's going on in a Flagman School Assembly, so that they're sort of warmed up before they got there. That will be ready by the end of the year. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to be launching in California in Torrance in early 2026 with the help of Honda. So once the platform's done, I'm going to test it on the new first responders in that community and our new project specialists who help set up and run the whole thing and get people educated on how we can do this. So, yes, we are heading in that direction. We've been talking about licensing the program. Look, John, the main thing is that we're building a brand, and people need to stay in our lane, use our language, hit the talking points, active passenger, slow down, move over, responsible driver. And we're building a brand, and then we're going to share that brand so that people can help us scale up so that we're in every state across the country every year. Like, my goal is that every kid will have Flagman in school every year, K to 12. That's my goal.
Well, I used to joke at work when we were talking about things like child passenger safety, and I said, it's great when you can get to go out and put a car seat in, a parent's car. It's even better when you can go out and train someone to be able to train other people to do the same thing. So now all of a sudden, instead of spending an hour teaching one person how to do it, you spend 3 days and teach 20 people how to do it, and those 20 people can go out and spend the hour per person. So sort of to steal from the Bible a little bit, teach someone how to fish.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you,
which was a terrible connection there, but anyway.
There's a lot of buzz in Fairfield because we're back and we have a lot of support. And a little boy ran into the gym at McKinley Elementary School this week, and he said, "This is the best day of my life." The kids are so jazzed. Like, we had a kid in Milford jump off the bus. Somebody on the team happened to be behind the bus when we left Orange Avenue School, and he got off the bus waving his Flagman pencil case over his head as he sprinted up the driveway to his mom. So I know that we're reaching the kids, and they're taking the message home. It's really, somebody was asking me yesterday if this is somehow healing for my family's grief, and I would say there is an element of joy that it comes out of watching first responders work with kids and vice versa, and know that we are one school at a time. We do 200 to 400 kids per assembly. We're changing the driving culture. That's the goal at Flagman. Our first goal is to save lives. And our second goal is to just completely change the way we think when we get into a car.
And that really, that's, and sort of like you get into a car with little kids, and the first thing they try to tell people is, put on your seatbelt because they've sort of learned it from, the very first time. And I always tried to tell parents, basically your kid's been watching you do whatever you do since the day they came home from the hospital. Now, realistically, they were rear-facing and they didn't. But the idea is there that by setting an example as the parent, but in this case, the kids sometimes can really say, mom or dad, hey, there's a tow truck up there, or there's a police car up there, or ambulance up there. You need to slow down or move over.
We did Melissa in the Morning show on WICC. I've been doing it every year, fortunately. She's also a big advocate for slow down, move over, and she interviews the guys at AAA and DOT and all that, so in Blumenthal. But we're happy that we get a spot on that show. So I intentionally went to her son's school and did an assembly and then invited her. And when he was 6 years old, he's obsessed with Flagman. And this year, he was in his friend's car, and the mom was picking up her phone and texting or whatever, and he said, can you please call my mom because I'm not comfortable riding with you because this is what I learned at a Flagman assembly.
Wow. I'm kind of looking over some of your stuff on your website. It's flagmansafety.com, and looking at some of, it has a whole explanation. It has everything that that we have talked about, but it also, like you said, gives a little bit of the history, how this all started. If somebody who's listening either now or when this becomes a podcast thinks it's a good idea and they really like it, and either they would love to have you come to their city, town, state, or if they just say, I want to help some way, is there a way that I can send them $25 or $100 or whatever the case is, because this is important, are there ways to do that within the website?
Yeah, so the website's got a donate now button. We also offer 2-tiered sponsorship packages. So if you're a small business owner or a private donor, we offer some incentives up to $10,000. But if you're a corporation and you really want to get behind the movement, we have a higher level sponsorship package so that we can collaborate and work together. And that's really the goal, is to get road safety organizations, trucking manufacturers, insurance companies to really come in and start throwing money at Flagman, because if we had money, we would be in every state. But the slowdown for us is having to find money and then identify a school district and then schedule. It's still a little bit clunky that way. But, John, we have a Flagman Safety YouTube page, and I have been uploading the video shorts this week from all of the interviews that we've been doing with kids after faculty, first responders, to the YouTube page. And I would say that even more so. So the website is a good place to go and see why we exist. The YouTube page is if you want to see what exactly happens at a Flagman school assembly. That's where I'm uploading all those videos. Flagman Safety.
And is there a link from Flagman Safety to your YouTube channel, or just search Flagman Safety on YouTube?
Yeah, I would just search it on YouTube. We're moving in the direction of adding the Train the Trainer platform tab to the website. So we've got a little work to do before it's effortless. We built the website not only to be a legitimate organization, but to find out who our supporters are out there. And actually, you mentioned AAA. I reached out to AAA, MAD, towing companies. I was looking for any kind of support, fire departments, where they would let me use their logo to show that we've got this collaboration and this partnership. So we built the website sort of as a landing page in the early days. So that was 2.5 years ago. 3.5 years ago, we built the website. So we'll be updating the website in 2026 and adding the Train the Trainer tab. We have a media tab on there. We do a lot of media, and this podcast will be located on there. And then eventually, yes, we will have a link directly out to the YouTube page. But right now, if you just go to @FlagmanSafety, you can see, I think I've already got 100 videos, and we've just started the YouTube page, in the last couple months.
Well, it's yeoman's work you're doing here. The idea of trying to keep people safe by the side of the road, like you said, it is something that has very personal connection with you because of the death of your brother, but also, more importantly, I think just the idea of Now, I'm on your page now, and it says every 4.65 days, an emergency first responder is struck and killed working on America's roadways. Just the idea of that is, and the education behind it, and to try to keep these roadside safety providers safe, and just let them know, let people know. We've all seen the signs before. This is, it's drive safely. My mom works here, or my dad works here, whatever the case is. But to bring it to a different level where you bring it into the school system, I think is very important. And the ways that you can, people can either, donate if they, have an extra 25 or $50 or whatever the case is, or like you said, if you're a corporation, you're the person that makes the orange cones. That's why you make the cones. Support the Flagman program.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no donation is too small. Well, we're just looking for people to have awareness, to want to save lives on the side of the road. I think our motoring public is struck and killed at a higher rate than our first responders. But, last week or the week before down in Greenwich, Connecticut, 4 firefighters went to the hospital because they were all taken out by one guy that didn't slow down and move over. Fortunately, nobody passed away down there, but, lives have been altered. So our goal is that slow down, move over becomes the norm. And the one guy that's not doing it is the guy that everybody's pointing at saying you got to do better.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like you pointed out, in many cases, the person who hits somebody is, under the influence of something. Occasionally it's distraction. Occasionally it's, maybe something else going on in the car. Maybe it's, a bee flew in the car, whatever. But in too many cases, it's under the influence. And I know we had one of our towing contractors, 2 different towing contractors at the same site, and the person who ran into them was so under the influence of whatever they were under the influence for, they thought they were home.
Was that the one down in Fairfield Southport line?
No, this one was in Massachusetts on Route 495. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
wow. Yeah, it's a problem, John. It's a problem, and we hope to to keep being the squeaky wheel and getting the message out there. And I think that the kids that we are that we're reaching so far, we make them honorary road safety ambassadors. They take a pledge that they stand with Flagman, and that they're going to walk out of that gym and go home and have a conversation with their families about the importance of moving over. I know in Fairfield, after our pilot program, Engine 1 got struck and a rescue truck got struck within 2 weeks of us leaving in April of 2023. And I know Lieutenant Smith down there in Fairfield, I've had kids tell their parents, you got to move over. I see Lieutenant Smith on the side of the road with the fire department. So that's really it, right? We're trying to put a face and a name to the bodies on the side of the road. And, my brother Corey used to say, if I'm killed on the side of the road, somebody has driven through my office. Imagine sitting at your desk at your office and having a car come through the wall. That's how he viewed working on the side of the road. And by the way, we were doing an interview yesterday, working on a film called Tow It All about the Mickey's family business. And I was talking to one of Corey's old girlfriends, and she said, Corey was the safest guy. Nobody could believe that it happened to Corey, and that if it could happen to Corey, it could happen to anybody. I mean, he was practicing high-visibility gear in the 80s, even before DOT was putting their guys in high-visibility gear. Yeah. So it's still a shock, and it's painful, and it's really hard for us to even wrap our mind around the fact that Corey, at 58 years old, that was it. He put his soda in the refrigerator, went to do a tow, and thought he was coming back, and he didn't come back. And it's been devastating for my family, but I think this has been a great pivot for us. We are carrying Corey and my dad Russ's legacy and my brother Chris forward of practicing road safety, and we're doing it on a national level. So we're taking their work in Connecticut and we're making it a national movement. Yep. And I couldn't be more proud of that. For the girl that didn't want to drive a tow truck or be a secretary, I'm back, and I'm carrying their work forward.
And driving a tow truck?
No.
No.
Funny that you should say that. When Corey died, it was just him and Chris in the Iodice family transport business, and I was wanting to do anything I could to help my brother. And I thought, should I move back from Hawaii for a while and be his other driver? But every time I would drive the flatbed, my heart was racing, and I was like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. But if you need to jumpstart your car or change a flat, I'm your girl, because and I'm an excellent parallel parker from watching the guys over the years. But doing the tows, it's a very meticulous job, and the towing industry, there's a love-hate relationship with the public, right? They hate them, and then they need them, and then they love them, but then they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay to have their car towed.
Yeah.
So
no, it is, and even like you pointed out, you were, Corey was wearing retro reflective material in the '80s before it was kind of a standard thing, and I know from my little experience, we've done things like we've changed the lighting structure. At one time it was more lights are better. Now we've realized more lights, cause that moth to a flame effect sometimes, where especially if someone's partially impaired, all of a sudden too many lights, somebody drives right towards the lights. We're looking to put message boards on our trucks now. Slow down, move over with arrows and things. And moving, controls to the passenger side of the vehicle, so you're not out in traffic with running the controls for the flatbed or the tow truck, doing things to try to keep people as safe as possible. But still, no matter, at the end of the day, it still is a dangerous occupation. And like you pointed out, and I remember this was many, many years ago, someone actually did a video of putting I think they put a desk by the side of the roadway with, a guy in a suit, and said, "This is my office." And a tractor trailer goes by and blows all the papers off the desk. And he goes, and you're like, when this is your office, you need to respect that space, and both as the driver, but also the other passengers. So, flagmansafety.com is the website. If you want to contribute, there's a support Flagman in there. More information's coming. Go check out the videos at Flagman Safety on YouTube. And Cindy, I want to thank you for taking a little time out of your Sunday on what is the shortest day of the year, and also probably one that's a little bit more dangerous because of all the people on the road for the holidays.
Yeah, and thank you for all of that, and thank you for the conversation. If anybody's listening that wants Flagman in their town or at their schools, just email us at flagmansafety.com, and we'll start the conversation. I'm talking to Arizona, Nevada, Florida, Michigan, and hoping to get some launches there in 2026, and then hopefully with support from Honda, we will be doing Alabama. But look, we're just looking for people who think it's important to save lives on the side of the road to join the Flagman movement. Thank you so much, John. And yes, of course, we're a nonprofit, and we are driven by and are able to reach with donations. That's how we do our work: donations, grants, and wherever I can find the money. Eventually it'll be self-funding itself. People are going to finally see that this needs to be in every school and get behind us. But we are new, but we've got a great program, so please check us out.
Perfect. Again, Cindy, thanks for taking a little time out of your Sunday and sharing the Flagman Safety story and message. It's an important thing for everybody who works by the side of the road, but important for everyone to learn this lesson. And like I said at the very beginning, even though it's a law, do it because it saves lives, not because you're worried about getting a ticket.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk again sometime, John. This is a great platform. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Cindy. Take care.
Okay, take care. Happy holidays.
You as well. That was Cindy Iodice. She is, she has a lot of things going on in her life. She's a filmmaker, but check out the flagmansafety.com website and the YouTube stuff. It's great stuff, and again, important, and that's why I say it at the end of the program. Slow down. See an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. It's not just a law, it saves lives. Why don't we take a break, pay some bills? If you would like to join us and maybe wish Jesse a Merry Christmas, give us a call at 781-837-4900, or maybe you have a car problem. I had a bunch of weird ones this week, a bunch of weird questions that came in this week. We'll talk about those when we come back. You're listening to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
At Nezrella's Farm of Marshfield, it's a holiday wonderland. Here's Paul Nezrella to tell us what's in store for a lovely holiday season.
Fresh load of Christmas trees, greens, kissing balls, poinsettias. We have trees from 3 feet all the way up to 12 footers.
Nezrella's has wreaths from 12 inches all the way up to 36 inches, plus Christmas cactuses, rosemary trees, and kiln-dried firewood for $40 a shopping cart. Nezrella's Farm of Marshfield, 1200 Ocean Street.
From 9 o'clock in the morning until 7 at night, 7 days a week.
Hey there, folks. It's Quinn Kelly reminding you to tune in Sunday night at 5 for the South Shore's first voice in sports talk radio, The Sports Exchange. Unmatched coverage of local high school action, as well as a relatable voice on all things Boston Pro Sports. We've got you covered live at 5 every Sunday night. Have a question for our host, missed last week's show, or just want to share a great sports story? You can find us on Twitter at SE on WATD. But remember, mark your calendar, folks, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 for the Sports Exchange on 95.9 WATD.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on this, the 21st day of December, which is a few days away from Christmas. So hopefully you've started your Christmas shopping. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. And, you know, I just saw the FedEx truck drive by, so people are still Christmas shopping. But yeah, it's that time. Time for Santa Claus to come. Santa Claus is going to come here one day on Christmas Eve, I think, or Christmas Day. I'm not sure which, because we're having little kids joining us, and Santa Claus is coming. So there you go. Some of the questions that came in this week. Somebody had a car shipped from the south up to the north, and they said the car was shipped in an open carrier truck, and they were concerned because they actually really wanted an enclosed carrier truck. You know, new cars get shipped that way all the time. Yeah, you can end up with, you know, worst thing is you get a car on top of your car that leaks something. That's always a possibility. Sometimes you get some stone chips. Maybe you're going to lose a hubcap or something. We had our Volkswagen shipped down here, no issues whatsoever, other than they were going to come to the Walmart in Abington to pick the car up. They decided at the last minute not to come there, and they went to someplace in Braintree, I think, which was a little inconvenient. And they gave us a date when it was supposed to show up here in Florida, and it didn't. It showed up early. So apparently they made good time. Fortunately, my sister-in-law was here. We weren't, and they went and got the car. So, but anyway, the person says now they're hearing a noise. They filled up the tires with air. They thought maybe it was that. They've been driving for a week. It's a rubbing sound. They didn't hear it before. It's a Toyota RAV4, and they're wondering, you know, could it be something because of the transport? Possibly. Although most transport drivers now strap the cars down. So they don't use, you know, they used to use like J-hooks and cables to tie everything down. They don't do that anymore. It's a strap system that goes over a tire, kind of ratchets down to the deck of the truck, and really doesn't do any damage to anything if done properly. Could it be that they bent a dust shield on the back of a brake rotor and it's making a little rubbing noise? Possibly. The other thing is, and I've seen this in a bunch of cases on cars that still have hubcaps. The hubcap will start to squawk and squeak and make funny noises as the wheel flexes. And the first thing I would do on this particular vehicle is pop off the hubcaps if it has them. And The RAV4 did come with hubcaps rather than just alloy wheels. So pop off the hubcaps, take it for a ride, see if it goes away. Now, could strapping down the wheels have pushed the hubcap one way or another? Yeah, it could have been. So, could it be also rust on a brake rotor? Maybe, but that should have worn off in a week. So I'd try that. Somebody wrote to me and said, I have seen many Tesla vehicles on the road, and some of them say dual motor. What does that really mean? Are there indeed two motors? Yeah, there is. Actually, you can get a Tesla that's rear-wheel drive. So that could be a Model S. It could be it could be the Model 3. But then there's the dual motor version, which is basically a all-wheel drive vehicle. So a motor in the front, motor in the back. The Model Y and Model X, so they're SUV-ish kind of thing. The Model Y is the SUV version of the smaller Model 3, and the Model X is the SUV version with the gull-wing doors in the back. Sort of weird. You don't see a lot of those. They're dual-motor vehicles. They only come that way. They only come with all-wheel drive. And then there's the high-performance Plaid version, which I think I've only seen one. And, people like Jay Leno have a Plaid version. The Tool Time guy, whatever his name is, Tim Allen, has a Plaid version. It's 1,000 horsepower electric vehicle that uses 3 motors. Not just 2, but uses 3 motors. And that will do 0 to 60 in what they claim is 2 seconds. So ridiculously fast. So, there are those out there. A regular listener to this program who lives in New York and West Palm Beach has a Honda CR-V that continues to drift to the right. And he says, since the last time he talked to me, he said the tires rotated, wheel alignment done, tires are wearing evenly. When I asked the service manager at Honda, his response was all Florida roads have a crown to the right. That's why it drifts to the right. While driving from Florida to New York, the car still drifted to the right. Any thoughts? Yeah, it's probably out of alignment still. And there's alignment that is within specification. And then there's alignment that you need to tinker with a little bit. And on the CR-V, you can adjust. There's 3 major steering angles: camber, caster, and toe-in. Camber is kind of if you looked at the tire straight on, the left and right tilt of the tire. Caster is the angle of the steering axis. So, for instance, a bicycle, if the fork of a bicycle or the fork of a motorcycle has positive caster because the fork sticks out in the front and leans back in the back. A shopping cart wheel has negative caster. So when you push a shopping cart wheel, the wheel spins around and the kind of weight of the tire pushes the wheel back. So negative caster can cause the wheel to spin back very quickly, and so can very, very extreme positive caster, but not usually. It's usually negative caster. And toe-in is just that. It's if you look at your feet and put them straight ahead, that would be the equivalent of zero toe. Push your toes together, that's toe-in. All cars have usually a setting of a little bit of toe-in because as you drive down the road, the wheels want to force themselves out. Well, in this Honda, there is toe-in and camber that's adjustable, and toe-in and the rear tires that are adjustable. There is no caster adjustment. The caster adjustment is fixed. You can't do anything with it, technically at least, but you can adjust camber. And what may be is that there is, within the specification, the camber is okay, but it's not right. And a good alignment technician will add a little bit more positive camber to the left front wheel, even though it's within specification, and we'll use zero straight up and down. We'll use a little bit of positive camber to the left front wheel still within specification, to offset the crown in the road. And all roads are crowned somewhat. Most major highways are kind of, the middle lane is probably about as flat as you're going to get. The right-hand lane is crowned to the right. The left-hand lane or lanes are usually crowned to the left, and that's to allow water runoff so it doesn't pond on the roadway. So to say that all roads are crowned, well, that's true. But can you offset it? Yeah, you can. And, adding a little bit more camber to the left front wheel may be just enough to keep it from drifting on the roadway. And usually when it comes to that type of thing, pulling or drifting can be related to tires, tire conicity, it's sometimes called, which is kind of when the tire is cone-shaped and can make the car pull. That can be it too, but they've had the tires rotated, and that didn't solve the problem. Our 2016 Hyundai Elantra only has 53,000 miles. It runs well, and it's been maintained according to Hyundai recommendations. For quite a while now, it has had what I can best describe as a ticking noise heard inside the vehicle, seeming to come from the area of the dashboard or the steering column. It goes faster as you accelerate and disappears once the car is warmed up. It does not affect performance of the car. Any thoughts? Well, if this was a 1966 Hyundai Elantra, which there was no such thing, but if there was a 1966 Hyundai Elantra, I would say it's a bad speedometer cable, because speedometer cables would get sticky, the lube would get sticky, and you would hear the cable tick, 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 and you might even notice the speedometer needle jumping a little bit, and you can either replace the cable, pull the cable out and lube it, or I remember even way back when there was a tool that you could disconnect the speedometer cable from the speedometer, hook up a grease gun, and kind of grease it with a grease gun, which always made a mess. The Hyundai doesn't use that. It uses an electronic speedometer. It uses a speed sensor on the transmission and a speed sensor on the back of the dashboard, and it sends an electronic pulse. And there's basically a stepper motor of sorts, a little motor up there, that runs the speedometer. And I suspect the stepper motor is bad, and it's causing very similar noise. Now, I'm just guessing because, I don't know, it looks, if the noise is really coming from the center of the dashboard, nothing else under there is going to click and make noise, so it makes sense that that could be it. So what do you do about it? Well, you could take it apart and fix it. But it is 6 hours labor to do it. So based on that, I might go, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do anything with it. I would check with Hyundai, though, even though the car is now going on 10 years old, to see if there's any sort of memo. I looked for technical service bulletins, didn't see one. But when I was doing a little bit of a kind of hunt around on the interwebs to see if there was something going on, I saw some notification of there was a technical or a internal memo of a software fix that was supposed to try to quiet this noise. I looked for it. I couldn't find it. I looked on all the kind of major websites. I didn't see anything. But there was somebody posted it on some Hyundai forum. Maybe there was something. Maybe they were a Hyundai mechanic somewhere and they knew something about it. Possible. Somebody wrote to me and said, you recently answered a question about a person. This came from this wasn't a radio question. This was a newspaper question. It says you recently answered a question about a person with a 1966 Ford Galaxy not going into or slipping out of park. This was a known issue on mid-70s to mid-60s to mid-70s Ford products. It's been a long time since I worked on a 60s Ford, but if my memory serves me correctly, it was related to the selector detent pawl and spring in the transmission. So the little lever that locks into the inside the transmission in an automatic transmission, there was a internal gear with notches around the outside of it, and when you put it in park, it releases a little lever that locks on one of the notches and keeps it from rolling. So I guess the spring that's supposed to push this into the notches on the gear, which is really clutch, didn't lock into place. The person also says, I was a used car mechanic at a Ford dealership in 1976 and 77. I remember a running vehicle in a fellow mechanic's bay dropping into reverse and backing across the shop. That had to be exciting. I actually saw that happen. I was working in Boston, and it wasn't a Ford product, but it suddenly went into gear, and the hood was up, and it was a shop with back-to-back bays. So I think it was like bay doors on each side, but you could put 4 cars in there. And it was I want to say it was a Nissan or something. And when the car started to do that, one of the other guys, without missing a beat, reached over, pulled the coil wire out, and the car came to a stop. So my answer to this comment was, yeah, there was some problems with these cars slipping out of park. There was never any real recall. And I look back, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has recall information. When I looked up a recall for this vehicle, it didn't have anything. It had one recall, something to do with steering part. But there was nothing about the automatic transmission. What Ford did to fix the problem was they mailed out stickers to everybody with this car, and it said, use the parking brake, which I thought was kind of funny. So it was use the parking brake, which I thought, well, you should do that anyway. Jesse, up to you. Quick break, and then we'll get to Tom and John, or do you want to do one of the calls first? Your choice.
Let's knock at the break first.
Let's do the break first. Okay. Tom and John, stay right there. We will be with you in just about 2 minutes. You're listening to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. If you would like to join Tom and John, give us a call at 781-837-4900. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and buying savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join. Well, Christmas season is upon us, and here at WATD, we're ready to get into the holiday spirit. Listen to WATD now through December 23rd for 12 days of Christmas. Listen for Santa's Cue from December 8th to the 23rd and answer Christmas trivia questions that could stuff your stocking. If you answer correctly, you'll win a gift card from one of our contest's wonderful sponsors. It's 12 days of Christmas on the station that packs the presents. 95.9 WATD.
You let that mountain reach high. You let that river run wild. Hi, this is Jeff Neely.
And this is Joe Clapp.
And I'm Stephen Davis.
We're Humble Roots. Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio.
Hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James.
On 95.9 WATD and 95.9WATD.com.
And of course, visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD. Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program. One of these days, instead of during the commercials, the conversations that Jesse and I have during the commercials, we should have on the air, because I think they're weirdly interesting.
They are pretty good.
Yeah, some of them are. Some of them are,
We mostly talk
like,
about food and whiskey.
We do seem to talk about that. And, pizza.
Yeah, sometimes pizza.
Yeah, I had a pizza this week. Floridians don't know how to make pizza, but that's just my impression.
Yeah, I'm lucky to live around a few good places, but O'Toole's is my go-to.
Well, in your neighborhood, yeah, I can see that.
Oh yeah.
Yep. No, good place. Good place. Yeah. Tinray's in Brockton, a little bit of a stretch, but not a bad pizza there either.
What's the other one in Brockton? Like the
Cape Cod Cafe.
Cape Cod Cafe. Yeah, that's a good one.
Which when I first got married, I lived literally within walking distance of there, so I would go there. And
I lucked out at one of WATD's political events where, like, the election season was going on, so they actually sent me out there to cover a campaign party, and it happened to be at that place. I was like, fantastic. I just sat by the buffet and kept sneaking in some bar pizza. It was great.
There you go. There you go. Well, let's not talk about pizza. Let's talk to Tom from Pembroke. Tom.
Hey, John. How's Florida?
It was so foggy this morning I couldn't see across the street.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Yeah.
But warm, right? A warm fog.
Oh,
right?
it's according to my computer, it's 76 degrees and mostly sunny.
Oh, that's about 30 degrees more than here, or 40.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't have any complaints, and it's going to be fine. I'm actually going to go fix a broken water pipe in a neighbor's house when I get done with the radio show. So I'm being a plumber this afternoon. So
there you go, jack of all trades, huh?
A master of none. That's me.
Yeah, I was just calling about your last guest there. Do you know in Massachusetts, has anyone ever been pulled over for that?
Yeah.
Either in construction zones or whatever.
I haven't seen it in the construction zones, but when I was involved with the Mass Safety Officers League, in fact, I was the president at one point of it. Yeah, I mean, from sitting and having lunch with some of the cops, they would pull people over for it. Yeah. Right now, and I don't know what the whole kind of thing is, but even here, we don't have a police department in this town. We have the local county sheriff. I don't see them pulling people over like they used to. And I was talking to one of the local cops on the Cape, and he said, we don't want to become another social media star because somebody pulls out their phone. And he said, we probably should be pulling more people over, but it tends to turn into a big, hassle over it. But yeah, they do. I have seen actually, I witnessed it. There was a construction, I think it was a construction zone, and there was a Mass State Police cruiser further down the road, and the cars that sped right by the construction zone, they were waving them in like speeders. So it does happen.
Like that. The construction zone in Duxbury that's been going on for years. It says 50 miles an hour. It's almost like pole position. You can't go fast enough.
Yeah.
When people are coming up on that.
Yeah. No, I mean that's just it. I mean some road. I mean, I'm always amazed. Like Route 44 is what 65 miles an hour on Route 44, and on Route 3 South it's 60. How does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I live on Route 53, and there's parts of it that are still 45, even though it's grown 1,000 times over.
Yeah. No. It's one of those things that we just if. It's been a couple of years since I got a flat tire on the highway, but I got to tell you, it's changing a left rear flat tire, when you try to pull over as far as you can, and you get the car up on the jack, and tractor trailers go buzzing by at 70 and wiggle the car on the jack. I mean, it's not the most pleasant place to be.
Yeah, and there's creeps that'll actually aim for you.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
I don't know.
Always good to hear from you. And check out the Flagman website. It's pretty cool.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Let's go to John in Norwood. John.
Hi, John. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. This is regarding a 2013 Civic. My girlfriend's car had like 157,000 miles on it. She was driving it one day. All of a sudden,
and you're gonna buy her a new one. You're gonna buy her a new one for Christmas.
2.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
So it was running rough. She pulled into a parking lot, called me. I told her to turn it off, just try starting it again. It then cut out. So had it towed to the mechanics by AAA.
Yep.
And turned out to be a VSA system issue and a main computer relay. What are those? I have no idea what those even are.
Well, the main relay, is it depends. If it's not running at all, the main relay is, just what it sounds like. It's a little box that just makes all the electrical pieces work. The VSA is related to the anti-lock brake system, and although I don't know that I see that causing an issue, though. I mean, it's.
I thought he was trying to say that the anti-lock braking systems are sophisticated enough now that if they think that the car's going to crash, that they do something to turn off fuel. Is that right?
Well, I don't know if in 2013 that was the case, because sometimes what will happen is, for instance, if you step on the gas and the brake pedal at the same time, it will shut off the fuel and cause the car to slow down and kind of go into kind of a limp mode, so you don't have problems. But VSA is, it's the stability system. So the idea that the VSA stability assist system caused it to not run right, I guess
I don't think that's what he ultimately diagnosed. I think he thought maybe that was a problem initially.
Yeah.
I think what he replaced was that main relay.
That sounds like it could make more sense. And what happens with today's cars, unfortunately, and we're almost out of time, but what happens with today's cars sometimes is you can get a component that's completely not related to anything else, and all of a sudden it pulls something else offline because of it. And it is possible that, there was a short in this system somewhere, but the, VSA is vehicle stability assist, I think is what Honda calls it. But yeah, it's related to the anti-lock brake system, and basically what it does is it helps keep you staying out of skids. So, could it cause a stalling, no start problem? Not likely, but I think, whatever that module or relay was, I think actually fixed it. But maybe that code came up and put them in the right direction. So.
Appreciate the explanation.
All right. Take care, John, and Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas to Jesse and the rest of my radio family. And until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week, and have a Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.